NFL training camp is only 2 weeks away, and the Chicago Bears, completing all of their OTAs, mandatory minicamp, and rookie minicamp as well, have learned a lot of things about some of these new guys that they've picked up, the rookies, the veterans, everybody, right? And if I'm being completely honest with you, I wasn't one that was completely nervous about this Chicago Bears team until I learned one thing, okay? Now, before I dive into what I learned and why I believe the Chicago Bears could be threats to maybe even make the Super Bowl this season, I want you guys to do me a favor, okay? I want you to comment down below 2 players that you believe have the potential to break out this season and potentially even become X factors for this football team. It could be a rookie, it could be a veteran, it could be someone that they just signed from free agency. Okay, now we're going to break down 2 reasons why I believe this team is going to be really, really special. And with that being said, hit the like button, subscribe, join the family. Let's dive into the video. Let's just make one thing clear. If you go back to last season's Chicago Bears team, there was one thing that stood out among everything else. Okay, and it was this offensive line was absolutely terrible, and overall the offense was just really bad, right? They ranked 28th in the NFL in terms of points per game. They were dead last in the NFL when it came to yards per game, and if you look at all these stats here, none of it looks good outside of maybe the red zone scoring percentage was in the top 10. That's cool, right? However, the run game, you ranked 26th in the NFL in yards per carry, terrible. 20th in the NFL in rushing touchdowns per game. Again, not good. And also 32, the worst football team in the league when it came to allowing their quarterback to be sacked. But guess what? That's all different. That's all changed. They've done an amazing job fixing this offensive line. First things first, let's talk a little bit about Joe Thuney. This guy is an absolute difference maker. And when you look at it, right, we go back to them being the worst pass blocking offensive line in football last year. Well, guess what? Joe Thuney was the 5th best guard in football last year when it came to protecting Patrick Mahomes, and now he's going to see himself in a Chicago Bear offensive line that desperately needed him to come in here and help out. Joe Thuney last year allowed 0 sacks. He was the best guard in football, the best player in football at the guard position in terms of force or allowing QB sacks. This is a guy that desperately changes everything along this offensive line, but it doesn't stop there. Now again, we can go back and look at this rushing offense from last year. Everything was about 20th or worse, right? So obviously they needed to get better. And now they add a guy in Drew Dalman, who is one of the best run blocking centers in football last season, ranked 5th overall, did allow 2 sacks, and wasn't the most efficient pass blocking center in football, but that's okay because when you add Joe Thuney, that can help out, right? He can make him play better from the center position because he's got great help. But also, when you go back to 2023, he was the 3rd best. He had a 90 overall grade when it came to run blocking. This dude is special. Is special when it comes to run blocking. And I think him coming over here to Chicago is going to help them a ton. From there, they also added Jonah Jackson, Ozzie Trapillo, who seems like he could be a day 1 starter on this football team if they needed him to be. Obviously, it looks like you have Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright at your tackle positions, but Ozzie adds insane depth, but more importantly, long-term future potential at the position. I don't see a world where he's not a starter at some point in the next couple of seasons. He has learned this system so quickly, had his head dove into the playbook, and is understanding what he needs to do. This is a guy I think could be another difference maker. They also added Luke Newman and Jonah Jackson. This offensive line is going to be crazy good. And overall, when you look at the offense, guys, with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai and Caleb Williams and Colston Loveland, who we have yet to see yet, the offensive line looks, like I just said, way better. You have Rome Odunze, you have DJ Moore, you draft Luther Burden in the 2nd round, you still have Zacchaeus you bring over from Washington, Tyler Scott's still here. This offense looks like it could be one of the best in football. But the most important thing that we haven't talked about yet is this guy right here. Ben Johnson is a mad scientist when it comes to offensive scheme and just getting guys open into a system, I think this offense is going to be easily the most improved that we see in the NFL next season. But there's also another factor, why I believe this team is a lot scarier than we think. Now, before we dive into that, do me a big time favor, guys. Hit the like button if you want more Chicago Bears news, notes, updates, highlights, everything. Film. Subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost anything to join the family. And with that being said, let's get into another reason. Now, the scariest thing, in my opinion, about this Chicago Bears team going into next season is the overall youth potential that they have, that they've added just in this draft alone. Okay? And I know we haven't even seen them take a snap with pads yet, right, in a Chicago Bears uniform. And that's fine. I understand that. But there is a lot that you can tell from, rookies throughout rookie minicamp, OTAs, mandatory minicamp. There's a lot to learn. Okay? And what we've learned so far is a lot of these young guys are explosive and have insane potential and know how to work. One guy specifically, Kyle Monangai, I would not be surprised at all if this 7th round draft pick comes in here, carves out a role, works his way up the depth chart, and competes for a starting job on this football team by week 4. I believe that. And the reason being is because he's a hard worker and the coaching staff is absolutely in love with his overall potential, okay? But when you look at the entirety of this rookie class, whether it be Ozzie Trapilla or Ruben Hippolyte, right? All three of those guys alone are making big moves up the depth chart already. And we're just getting started. So, in my opinion, when you pair up Ben Johnson, right, and Ryan Poles together, I mean, this duo is going to be insane. And the reason I say that is because they're a free agent destination. This is a team that guys want to go to. This is a team that guys want to play under Ben Johnson, right? And you can tell Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, Zacchaeus, right? Then defensively, Grady Jarrett, Dayo Dangabo, who I do like. Didn't have the best year last year, but that's okay, right? I mean, you added 4, 5, 6 starters throughout free agency. This is a free agent destination. But 2, and more importantly, as of right now, I would go out on a limb and say this team knows what they're doing when it comes to drafting. Okay, I think Colston Loveland is going to be insanely productive. Okay, Ozzie Trapilla already looks like he could be a day 1 starter. Luther Burden, we have yet to see him in practice, but we know he's a good player. Okay, we want to see him out there, but I don't think that's a bad pick at all. Kyle Monangai, as a 7th rounder, he could be competing for starting carries within this offense. Again, as a 7th rounder. Shamar Turner, right? Ruben Hippolyte. Looks like he could be moving. I mean, he started off as way back, 4th on the depth chart. Now he's all the way to number 2. Okay, Zach Frazier has made some plays throughout OTAs and rookie minicamp and mandatory minicamp. This team is getting better and better and better. And the defense overall, Montez Sweat, Javon Dexter, right? TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Kevin. I mean, this team is loaded with talent. So if they figure out this offense and can fix some of these offensive, like protecting the quarterback, I think they've done a lot, right? Running the ball wise, right? I think they're going to be better. I think they're going to be terrifying, man. I'm really nervous about every team because the Chicago Bears know what they're doing, and I feel like they're about to really get going here. Let me know what you guys think, though. If you want a part 2 where I kind of break down maybe a couple of guys who have stood out thus far, again, training camp is in a few weeks, so we're going to be covering that. So join the family, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.